Right, well, I'm not Caroline. Caroline roped me into helping her with this talk. And actually, when she first asked me to do a lightning talk, I thought she said an enlightening talk. So I prepared a 2-hour talk about Buddhism, if that's okay for everybody. Right, that's my one joke over with. I have got a cliche, though, which is that people are our most important asset at Brighton Interactive, as with most organisations in the digital space. Oh, thank you. Hang on. So when we realised that the structure and culture of our company was not really conducive to the growth of our people, we realised that we needed to do something about it. So that's what we're going to talk about for 10 minutes, what we did about it. So a little bit of background. We started 15 years ago. At that point, we were developing custom software for organisations that couldn't buy it off the shelf. We still do that. That's approximately half of our business. We also have a software product, which is a digital asset management system called Asset Bank. We followed a fairly traditional path in our growth. So we started off with a few key energetic people, hired extra staff as we needed when we found that we'd got too much work on, and grew really without thinking too much about how our business and our people were structured. So we ended up with a fairly traditional hierarchical management structure with managers, usually sort of workaholic managers, telling all the other people what to do and usually how to do it as well. So at that time, we were developing software using the waterfall model, which if you're into software development, you'll know is a very hierarchical structure as well. So project managers and technical architects telling the developers what to do and how to do it. So what happened? What made us change? Well, we transitioned to using Agile for software development. Really, our motivation for doing that is that we believed and found it to be a fundamentally better way to develop software that people actually want to use. But as a kind of side effect to moving to Agile, we found that the other fundamental aspect of Agile, which is the people side of it, really helped in terms of our culture. And what I'm talking about there is the concept of having a self-managed team. So instead of a project manager, a scrum master who is there to facilitate the cross-functional team deciding what needs to be done and then doing it. No one person or key people telling everybody else what to do. So that was very successful for us. We saw a lot of increased motivation with our developers, much happier team. They were learning from each other using pair programming and so on. And that was all great for the part of our business that was developing the custom software and our product. What about the rest of the company? So we started realizing that we'd actually got some of the same issues across the rest of the company. So in the customer service team, the team that implement and deliver our digital asset management product, in the business support. So we wondered whether we could apply the people side of the Agile process to the rest of the company. So, here's a couple of definitions. I haven't got time to describe Agile in detail, but there's a quick definition. Likewise, we did start getting into lean techniques, and I haven't really got time to talk about those, but they're in general about avoiding waste and concentrating on delivering value. So we did a bit of research into leadership topics and discovered that actually we weren't really making this up ourselves. A lot of other companies have come to a similar realization. The concept of leaders rather than managers, telling people, leaders encouraging teams rather than telling teams what to do is well documented. Toyota follow a very lean approach of having self-managed teams. So, but then what we did was fairly radical in that we decided to just completely overnight almost restructure the business. We got rid of managers, we introduced team leaders. Our company is now structured into 5 teams with the team leaders facilitating the self-managing team. We've taken a lot of the artifacts from Agile, used those in the non-software development side of the business, so that we've got things like retrospectives for fast learning feedback cycles. Right, Caroline's turn. Caroline, I'll show you how to do the button.
Thank you. My technological skills
do you want me to do it for you? It's that one.
That's brilliant. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to talk about our approach to employees' growth as a result of these changes. So, see if I can see. So our approach was fairly traditional in that we used an appraisal process as the main focus for managing our performance of our staff. They were a 6-monthly event, and feedback was gathered by managers, often at the last minute, and it tended to focus on recent events rather than the full 6-month timescale. We did involve client and colleague feedback, but clients tended to get fed up with being asked because we'd ask the same ones regularly every 6 months. And also colleagues were not always comfortable with giving anything other than positive feedback. So feedback outside of the appraisal events was often actually triggered by a mistake or a problem that occurred. So meant that we had the opposite problem during the general course of work, in that very little positive feedback was given then. We did obviously try and introduce feedback and problem-solving opportunities. For example, we introduced something called the 5 whys, which was if there was an issue, you'd get everybody into a room and ask why until you got to the root cause of the problem. That quickly got renamed the 5 blames. They were often convened by and facilitated managers, so operating in a very tell fashion, so it's not really surprising that that happened in that context. There was also a little common approach amongst line managers, and frankly, some were better than others, particularly at focusing on skills and growth. So in terms of what we do now, we've openly discussed the approaches to line management with the team and highlighted the dangers of top-down management styles as well. Our line managers are now called coaches, and it's not just being about labelled that as well. We're really encouraging them to model those behaviours as well. We've started a coaching forum, which is open to everybody to develop coaching skills across the business, not just in the coaches and the line management area. We're not doing appraisals anymore. We've replaced those with monthly meetings and obviously an annual salary review as well. But what we're really encouraging employees to do is to set up their own feedback groups so they can choose from whom they want to get feedback. And this can change as they focus on developing different skills. So there might be certain people who are more appropriate to help them develop in certain areas. Obviously, we're trying to effect a culture change here, so it's not going to happen overnight. And it has to be tackled in all sorts of methods, by all sorts of methods from all sorts of different angles as well. But ultimately, what we have decided is that it's really important that our people welcome feedback and actively search it out for themselves rather than having it done unto them at a twice-yearly event. And we're clearly at the early stages of this, and it's not all running smoothly. Some people are very sceptical about it. That's fairly natural amongst the developer community in particular. So we have to accept that as natural, that people need convincing. But the essence of what we're trying to do is create self-managed, cross-functional teams that collaborate together to solve problems and take responsibility for their own work, but also for their own development and their team's development as well. So in terms of skills, gaps and motivation, we're really seeing the benefits of these self-managed teams. The removal of the hierarchy and micromanagement approach is allowing people to take responsibility and to solve their own problems. People are feeling trusted, and that's clearly motivational for them. They're also working together much more, collaborating, getting feedback from each other really quickly and supporting each other. And we've basically got a team of very bright people in the company, and they've got different learning styles and different approaches to work. They don't want to be just told to go on a training course. They want to find things out for themselves and learn by their own experience. So this new approach is proving to be very motivational for them. Also, in software development terms, we use a lot of pair programming in our team. So we're extending this by encouraging peer coaching as well. So people can learn from people they respect and choose different people for different learning experiences. And this motivates both the coach and the coachee as well. The other thing that we've introduced is something called stretch objectives, which are linked to the progression goals for each individual. And people choose their own objectives in areas that they're particularly passionate about, which hopefully will develop their skills but also benefit the company as well. And we're very elastic in our job roles, really. We don't restrict people by saying, right, you're only allowed to work in this area. So their objectives can be in any area. And to give you an example, one of our developers is very enthusiastic about sales, and he has a stretch objective in the sales area. We're also making the most of the agile tools that we have and learning from those techniques to apply them to employee growth as well as our delivery of software projects. So we're encouraging joint problem solving at the daily stand-ups, and also using retrospectives as a source for ideas for stretch objectives. But the biggest impact all of this has had is on the energy and drive we've got within the office. It used to be a very, very quiet office, and now it's buzzing with enthusiasm, and people are really loving the atmosphere that it's created. So we've made a good start, basically. So that is the end of my talk. So I don't believe have we got time for questions or not at this stage? Okay. So I'm going to hand over to Sophie.